to start. At the moment, this meeting is being recorded and it will be posted on YouTube later today. For everybody who is not presenting, please turn off your video just because it will help with the flow of the stream. As well, everybody, please keep your mics off, as that will help avoid confusion. If at any point you do have a question about something that I say, or if you would like me to slow down, please go ahead and post it in the chat section on the right of the WebEx page or the WebEx app. I will see it, and either I will address it later in the meeting, or I can address it in the moment, or potentially wait until the very end of the meeting when we will do a generic Q&A. First off, to begin, everybody, thank you all for being a part of the program. This season, we were very impacted. We only have 5 fields to use at Camino on Mondays, so it really, really, really reduces the number of teams that we can take in. And so at this point, we have a waiting list that is, I mean, we could have an entire another night of soccer with the wait list that we have right now. And we also have a full women's program as well. So everyone, thank you all for signing up and getting registered quickly. It was really crazy, and I'm still fielding emails and calls from people who are asking to sign in. I'm glad you all were able to make it, and thank you all for being here as well. This meeting will also be posted to YouTube and on our website, Team Sideline, for anybody who needs help getting to or needs help in the future to refer back to something. Okay, so this meeting, I'm going to try and keep it quick and simple as possible. But again, please, if I am speaking too quickly, go ahead and write it in the comments section, or if you didn't catch something, mention it in the chat section. I'm happy to slow down, and I'm happy to re-review any information that I didn't quite cover very well. The point of this meeting is for you to understand how the league functions and any changes and updates that we need to do. It's also a chance for you to have it interact with me, the league organizer, and hopefully our head referee will be able to make it as well. I know he just finished a vacation. I'm not sure what his status is right now. However, if there are questions, rule-specific questions, I'll do my best to address them at the end of the meeting. If I can't address anything, then I'll write it down and I'll send it out in an email later this week with more information about that question. That is if I can't address a rules question about the sport. Okay. With that, we're going to go into, whoa, okay. The lights turned off on me. All right, okay. All right, apologies for that. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Kyle, is there a reason you're okay? Thank you. All right, so at this point, I'm going to take over the screen for everybody. Present. All right. Can everybody see? If you're new, please mute yourself. If you're new to the group, please mute yourself. At this point, can everybody see my screen? I just need one person to comment in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So right now, the first thing that we're going to go over is this website right here, Team Sideline. For the returners, you probably know this site very well. For new people, this is the site that you're going to use for basically everything in regards to the league function. This is where we post schedules, scores, any updates as well. Everything is going to be posted here. So I'd, star this on your browser. Just make a note that you always look back to this. This also is probably the best place to refer to even after the season is over, because this is where we're going to be storing all information about upcoming seasons as well. So the way to get to this website is you up to your URL www.teamsideline.com, and then the important thing is /Ventura. If you don't do the /Ventura, it's going to take you to the Team Sideline general page, which is not specific for Ventura. But you just want just the Ventura specific one. Um, um, I do want to see the chat. Perfect. Okay. So when you get to the Ventura specific team sideline page, it's going to look something like this. You've got some links up to the top, a free agent sign up as well for anyone who's looking to sign up for another sport. There's an option for you right there, as well as game schedules, downloads, the calendar, locations, contact, etc. You already have my contact, so you don't really need it for anything else. The important thing that you're going to need for Team Sideline is when you get to this page, you're going to scroll down, and then you're going to look over here to this left tab here. Right now, I have the link for fall soccer posted. After starting tomorrow morning, I'm going to post the link for the spring 23 soccer schedule. So what you'll do is you'll hover over to this link, click on this little arrow, and it will drop down all the divisions that we have. Last season, we had Co-Ed A and B. We had Men's A, B, C, and Comp, and Women's A. This upcoming season, because of how registration has worked, what we're going to be doing is 2 Co-Ed divisions, 3 men's divisions, Men's A, Men's B, and Men's C, which is a combination of our highest men's division, and then a Women's A and a Women's B, split into 2 different skill levels. What you're going to want to do is click through each one of them to try and find your team name. If you haven't sent me a team name and you're in this group chat, you can do so please now. You can send it to me privately or to the group as a whole. It's up to you. Otherwise, just email me and I can get it adjusted. But we have most team names in. So you'll do is you'll click over to something like right here. If your team's in code B, you can see all the teams listed when you click this little down arrow right here. So I click this little arrow, I can see all the teams that were in co-ed A. Then what you're going to do is click on the, if you find your team name, you're going to click on the actual division name, and it will take you to the division page. The top has the teams, the win-loss ratio, games played, points. And we use standard soccer scoring, 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, streak, and any other information we feel we need to list. If you scroll down further, you'll see your schedule. Your schedule is always going to have the date of the game, the time of the game, who's home, who's away, and the field that you're going to be playing on. What you can do, if you're not sure about your field, go ahead and click here as well, and it will show you a map of the park you will be playing in. Unfortunately, it doesn't bring up a map that's specific to your exact field space. However, that is marked however, all the goals are marked when you get out there. So when you get to Camino Real Park, it will be very easy to find your exact field number. And I don't have it in this one. Unfortunately, I forgot last season. For this upcoming season, one thing I will do is, give me 1 second, everyone, I apologize. I'm going to post a map of the soccer fields at Camino Real Park. That is so everybody can see what fields are and help putting goals away at the end of the night. We do need teams at the end of the night, each night for each field, to help push the goals away. Just because it's a lot of work for staff to do at the end of the night. It's a lot easier when an entire team helps out at once. So let's see if I did it for this season. There we go. So there will be a map similar to this that shows you where the check-in office is at Camino. This is the main parking lot, and shows you field 1, 2, 3, 4. Unfortunately, field 5 is going to be all the way back here if you're at Camino. Amy, I will be addressing your question here in a bit. There. So this is the location for fields at Camino Real Park. And that map will be posted on every division's page. The important thing to remember is for women's soccer, however, instead of playing at Camino this year, women's soccer this season will be played at Community Park. So let me bring up a map of Community Park, which is the Kimball Park for those who haven't heard that name before. So women's soccer will be played on Thursday nights here at Community Park. Hmm, Apologies. Give me 1 second to bring it up. I would like to show you, just so you know. So yes, here's the Kimball Park, and you will be playing on the outfield of the first softball field. I will have staff on hand for the first week or two to help you find it, if in case you're having trouble. Okay. Back to schedules. So this will give you a breakdown of what time your game is, who you're playing, and your field schedule. One thing every team could do that I really would appreciate is if you can send your home team color. This way I can post it next to your name. One thing that's really important is that if two teams show up wearing the same color, it's very hard for the officials to call penalties, fouls, score goals, etc. Just because everybody's wearing the same color. And if you don't wear your home team color and you bring a white as well, sometimes we don't have extra jerseys for teams to wear. So please bring your home team color and a white, and send me your home team color so I can post it with your name. That way you know ahead of time what your opponent's color will be and what everyone on your team should wear as well. I'll send that in a follow-up email as well, just in case it was a little bit confusing. Okay. Torsten, thank you. And let's see here. So the next thing you're going to want to go is the downloads. This is something that you all should have been sent, and I will send up again on a follow-up. So right now, you're going to click on soccer, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through the soccer handbook. We're going to try and go through this quickly just because it is posted online, and I trust you all to be able to read. But this is a chance for me just to clarify a few things that I tend to notice gets confused or gets overlooked at times. So here at the top, we have a breakdown of when our seasons are offered, what nights they're offered as well. I'm going to have to change this now. We have multiple divisions for women's soccer. But referee fees are going up. They're going to be $25 per game this season. We held back on increasing referee fees for as long as we could. However, with cost of living increases and just the competition for officials as well, among other sports programs, we really did need to increase the price for officials for every single one of our games just to maintain the consistency. Referee fees are to be paid in cash to the officials for each game. As I said before, teams are expected to break down goals and store them in proper locations at the end of the night, as are posted on team sideline. All right. You should have sent a yes. Referee fees are separate from the registration fees. Officials' fees are paid in per person or per night to the official at each field. You cannot pay them ahead of time. Let's see here. Every team will play 8 games. And you should have your team roster sent in to me ahead of time. We'll get signatures on the first day of games if we have to. If you need to add a player throughout the course of the season, that is totally okay. Please send me a name. Please send me the name of the person you're adding, and if you're dropping anybody as well, and we can make that change. Any player you add on after the first week just has to make sure they sign in to the check-in office before the first game. If you have to forfeit a game, please let me know 24 hours ahead of time. If you do this, you will not be charged a forfeit fee. However, if you no-show or forfeit less than 24 hours in advance, you will receive a $50 forfeit fee. That's your fee for the game ahead of time. That's your fee for your team and your opponent's fees as well. Mhm. Jesus, your question about substitutes. Substitutes do not need to be on your team roster. They still do need to check in and sign the waiver to play. However, I would mark them as an S on the roster and on the daily attendance form. Okay. Basic rules, so I will go through this quickly. 6 players on the field with a goalkeeper, unlimited substitutions. However, you can only substitute on a dead ball, which means the ball goes out of bounds or the referee has called a penalty. You can play with as few as 4 players. If you have 3, though, only, you're going to forfeit. Co-ed teams can play with as few as 4. However, you can have as few as 1 woman on the field. You cannot replace women with men. So if you have 1 lady show up, you're going to play with 3 men and 1 lady. If you have fewer than 3 men, you can replace them with women. So if you have 2 men show up, you can throw 4 women onto the field. Games are 25 minutes per half with a 5-minute halftime. The start time posted on team sideline is the time the officials will start the clock. If your team is running late or you're not warmed up yet, that's too bad. Your clock has started. It's time to get out there and play. If we delay your game because you're not ready, it means we're going to have to delay games after yours, and we have a very tight schedule every single night. This is something that we like to stress with the officials a lot, and apologies ahead of time if they don't bring it up. If you see this and they don't, or if you see this and they don't blow a whistle or anything, please let me know. But we do not allow slide tackling if there is another player in the near vicinity. Slide tackling is very dangerous, and this is a recreational league. This is for fun. No one wants to get hurt. Nobody wants to have to call out and miss time at work just because they were playing in a rec soccer league and somebody was out of control and they hurt them. It's an automatic yellow card and a sit out. And if they do another yellow card, they receive another yellow card in the game, then it's a 1-week suspension. Slide tackles are okay if there's no one in the vicinity. Let's say you're trying to save a ball from going out of bounds. That's okay, but if it's near another person, they're going to receive a yellow and be removed from the game with a 2-minute sit out. We do not do kick-ins, we do not do throw-ins. We do kick-ins, but they are indirect. All other free kicks are direct, including corner kicks. The defending team must stand at least 10 feet back from the spot of any free kick. And after a goal is scored, the play is started again by the goalkeeper for the team that was scored on. Our leagues have a special goalkeeper safety arc, which is about 15 feet ish outside of the goal. Only one defensive player is allowed inside the arc at all times. Does not have to be the goalkeeper. However, you cannot have one extra defensive player in that arc with the goalkeeper. So if the goalkeeper leaves, you can have any other player step inside. However, any player inside cannot use their hands unless they are the goalkeeper. If an offensive player steps into the arc to try to make an offensive play, they lose possession of the ball. If a defensive player steps into the arc to make a defensive play on the ball, then it is a penalty kick for the offensive team from approximately 43 feet away. Goalkeepers cannot handle a ball that has been kicked to them by their own team. They also have 6 seconds with which to kick the ball out of the arc after it was kicked to them. We have a lot of questions about sharing players as well. Players are only allowed to play for one team per division. So if you have a player on your team who also signed up to play with another team and you happen to be placed in the same division, you're going to have a tough conversation with that player. They're going to have to choose one team to play for. They cannot play for both teams. We are a little bit more lenient with this rule when it comes to the co-ed division. However, if there is any player playing for another team in the division, that lady must be marked with an S next to her name on the sign-in sheet, so to mark that she's a sub and she's not a regular player on the team. We do this to help reduce forfeits because we don't like forfeits. All right. Now the fun part, I know that you're all here for. Lovely. The fun part, I know you're all here for, the code of conduct. I like to reiterate to everybody here and those who aren't here that um, as a participant in any City of Ventura recreational program or any City of Ventura program, you agree to abide by certain rules and regulations that are set forth by the City of Ventura. You do represent the city, and anything you do does reflect back on us. We also need to maintain that. We also need to maintain a positive, friendly atmosphere for everybody. So anybody who cannot abide by the rules that we set forth, uh, which are in place to maintain this positive and encouraging atmosphere, can and will be removed from play for any period of time. We have a standard progression of discipline that we have for any player. If you are committing penalties, you're playing aggressively, if you're giving the officials trouble, typically starts with a warning to the player or manager. However, if that is not enough to stop any bad behavior, next they'll receive a yellow card. They'll be removed temporarily from the game. When a player is removed temporarily from the game, they do not get to have a replacement sent in their place. Anytime someone is removed, whether it's a yellow card or a red card, the team will play -1 player for the remainder of the time because it is a penalty for the team as well. This is to remind team managers to keep their players under control. As a team manager, you are responsible for yourself, your team, and your fans as well. If any one of them breaks any part of the code of conduct, you, the manager, are ultimately responsible, and your team can receive a punishment. If 2 yellows are not enough to stop bad behavior, they'll receive a red card, which is suspension from the game, and they must leave the park immediately. If they refuse to leave the park immediately, we will have to call the police to have them removed peacefully. And they will also receive a 1 week suspension, so they cannot participate in any City Ventura recreational programs for the remainder of that week. Any player receiving multiple red cards during a season will be suspended for the entirety of the season, including playoffs. All right, so that's the standard protocol for any disciplinary behavior. However, there are things called major infractions, which, if anyone does, will result in immediate suspensions and a stricter protocol for discipline. These are physical contact with an official, player, staff, or fan, no fighting. As soon as we see any hint of physical violence towards another person, towards a fan, towards one of the officials, towards my staff, you're out of there, you're gone. It's a minimum of 1 week suspension, if not more, for getting into a fight, for hitting or striking, biting, kicking another person. Verbal abuse objectional demonstrations. This is broad, but falls under flipping someone the bird, swearing at officials or fans or staff. Some officials are, more tolerable of treatment. Some aren't. I wouldn't push it. Treat every official as you talk to every official as you talk to your mother or your child. Please remember that we are in a public park. There are families in attendance. You represent yourself, your team, and the city of Ventura. And think about, would you want to have your children there if you're swearing up a storm? I don't think you would want your children to hear that, so don't force other people to hear that as well. Unnecessary rough play. Soccer is a physical sport, and that's totally okay. We understand that. Our officials understand that as well. However, everyone doesn't understand that there's a certain degree of physicality which is part of the game and a certain degree which is not a part of the game. If you cross the line from a overly physical play, overly hostile or aggressive play, the officials have it is the officials' responsibility to kick you out of the game. Once again, this can be seen as subjective, and some officials may be tolerable more than others. So I wouldn't push it. Don't push the line and see what your officials are willing to tolerate, because you may have already received a red card by the time you think something is tolerable or not. And last is no consumption of alcohol. City of Ventura parks, no alcohol consumption is allowed. Um, it affects your performance, your attitude, your demeanor, and it really, once again, there are families in the parks. We don't want to be uh, inebriated around other people. If you receive a suspension longer than 1 week, you can appeal it. You basically just need to email me back explaining why you think that the suspension was too great. We will do an investigation and then we will have our results back to you within a short period of time. I already discussed add drops. Once again, really simply, just email me any players you need to add to the team. And then lastly, I get a lot of questions about how tiebreaker procedures work for our leagues. The top 4 teams in each division will make playoffs at the end of the season. We do a 1 week playoff for all the teams to determine who's going to win the championship. First, we do winning percentage, just whoever's got the best winning percentage or the most points for soccer. Next, we do head to head. If you and another team have the same number of points, whoever won the game is going to have priority in the standings. Next is head to head differential. If 3 teams are all tied with the same number of points, we look at their point differential among the 3 teams that are tied to determine who gets better placement in the standings. And then we go on with the other ones: goals for, goals against, differential, all the way down. I've never seen it go down to a coin toss. I'm excited for the first time I do see it. I'm sure it'll happen at some point. But it is incredibly rare. We have quite a lot of other tiebreakers that need to happen first. All right, and last, team standings are updated weekly on Team Sideline, usually at the end of the night. If not at the end of the night, very early the next day. If there are any issues with score, please let me know. My staff and officials are not perfect. They do make mistakes. It happens. And anytime we can correct an issue, we will be glad to. Mm. That was the manager's guide, once again available in the downloads tab on Ventura Team Sideline. Tomorrow morning, I will post the schedules, the divisions and schedules for all teams that are participating this year. That's everything I had planned out for our season or for this meeting. At this point, if anybody has questions for me, please feel free to post them in the chat and I'll be happy to address them as best that I can. Otherwise, if you have no questions, please feel free to log out. We look forward to seeing you next Monday, February 13th, for our first game at Camino Real Park. Jesus, the max amount of players you can have on the roster is 12. If you need to add players or if you need to add more players than that for any reason, please send me a special request to explain why you need to add more than 12 players. I'd also keep in mind that if players are not as consistent as you thought they'd be, they probably should be removed from the roster as well. Alexei, for jersey color, yes, please email me your team's jersey color. I'd prefer, actually, at this point, you can just post it in the chat and I can update it as I go. Uh, Michael, good question. Shin guards are not required. They are recommended, but they are not required. Amy, unfortunately, there are no in lit fields in the city of Ventura. Um, Unfortunately, you're just all parks though are first come first serve. First come first serve. So if you do have time to gather your team when the sun is still out, you are more than welcome to practice on any city park that hasn't already been reserved for another reason. Okay. All right, everyone.